Welcome to Fine Spun Tales. Today we are continuing our adventure with the crew of the USS Da Vinci and the Starfleet Corps of Engineers. Ansid, the first speaker of Ehrlich, faces a crisis as the essential genitrial system malfunctions, plunging her home into darkness and cold. The holo in her living room, which should enable communication, only shows old and irrelevant programs. With the weather control system failing, Ansid decides to seek help from the clergy and walks to the temple. Struggling through the bitter cold, she arrives to find the temple oddly dark. When lights suddenly blaze, she is horrified to discover the corpses of the priests and acolytes. Amidst the bodies, she hears a faint cry for help and finds Rhaegar Undlar, a newly ordained priest, gravely injured but alive. He reveals they were attacked with edged weapons after the power failed, suggesting a deliberate sabotage of Genitriol. Supporting Undlar, Ansed decides to take him to the hospital, realizing the gravity of their situation. The once prosperous and stable society of Ehrlich, reliant on Genitriol, now teeters on the brink of collapse. Ansed is left wondering if their golden age has come to an end, and whether Ehrlicha society can withstand the impending chaos. Captain David Gold is awakened by the duty officer on the U.S.S. Da Vinci with an urgent message from SCE Command. He speaks with Captain Montgomery Scott, who informs him of a crisis on the planet Ehrlich. The planet's entire socioeconomic structure is collapsing because their sentient moon-based computer, Genitriol, is breaking down and cutting off communication and transport. Gold is instructed to set course for Ehrlich immediately, even though his crew has pending replacements and transfers. Despite the logistical challenges, Gold prepares his crew for the mission, understanding the urgency of stabilizing Ehrlich. Scotty, reminiscing about a recent dinner with Gold's wife, assures Gold of backup from the Sugihara if needed. After sending necessary messages and scheduling a staff meeting, Gold returns to sleep, dreaming of his wife's cooking and their shared moments. 110, mourning the recent death of his bondmate 111, struggles to cope with the loss. As a Bionar, he finds it difficult to function alone and is haunted by nightmares. Unable to rest, he decides to leave his quarters and goes to the mess hall, where he finds Bart Falwell, a linguist and cryptography expert who has always been understanding of Bionar culture. Bart offers his sympathy and company, which 110 finds comforting. In the mess hall, 110 confides in Bart about the Bionar custom of rebonding after a partner's death and expresses his reluctance to do so. Bart, although unable to provide a clear solution, offers his support and understanding. Their conversation brings some solace to 110, who appreciates Bart's empathy and willingness to listen. Despite Bart's encouragement to attend an upcoming staff meeting, 110 remains uncertain about his place on the team, fearing his diminished state makes him less useful. Nonetheless, Bart's support helps 110 feel slightly more connected and understood, even as he grapples with the immense loss and the cultural expectations of his species. Sonia Gomez enters the briefing room at 7:50, and to her relief, it is empty. She orders Earl Grey tea, and just as it materializes, Kieran Duffy arrives, teasing her about a decade-old incident involving hot chocolate and Captain Picard. Sonia, managing her frustration, takes a seat with Kieran, and soon Geordi and P8 Blue join them, lightening the mood with the jokes about the infamous spill. Captain Gold briefs the SCE crew on their new mission, fixing Genitriol, a malfunctioning computer running the planet Ehrlich. The planet is in chaos, with everything from climate control to communication systems failing. The team learns that the Ehrlicha, the planet's inhabitants, have historically focused on comfort technology and have limited experience with space travel. Kieran provides details, noting that Genitriol, located on the moon, has always maintained the planet's systems flawlessly, until now. Sonia and 110 are chosen to lead the mission, with a security detail for support. Despite 110's hesitation due to his partner's absence, Sonia insists on his participation, valuing his expertise. Captain Gold's news about his upcoming great-grandfather status adds a brief celebratory note before Sonia and Geordi head out to prepare for the mission. Geordi reassures Sonia, praising her leadership, which helps ease her initial tension around her former superior. Meanwhile, on Irlik, five speakers, including first speaker Ansid and a wounded priest Undlar, gather to address the crisis. With transportation and communication disrupted, Ansid learns about an experimental Pevni ship with independent circuitry from Ganitriol. Despite political concerns, they decide to inspect the ship, Senbolma, for a possible journey to the moon. The speakers are reluctant to travel due to the harsh conditions, but Ansid and Undlar agreed to make the trip, determined to find a solution. As they set out, Ansid reflects on the need to address Undlar's naivety regarding political implications once the crisis is resolved. The journey to Brioni port and the potential use of the Senbolma represents a glimmer of hope in their efforts to restore order to their planet and fix Genitriol, underscoring the urgent need for unity and action in the face of unprecedented chaos. Sonia Gomez stands in the transporter room with Commander Corsi and a security team, waiting for their last member, 110, to arrive. Despite Corsi's frustration, Sonia reassures her that 110 will come. When he finally arrives, they transport to the dark interior of Genitriol, where the voice of the computer system welcomes them. They learn the system is malfunctioning and are warned about security protocols. As they move to the main terminal, the team encounters Genitriol, who informs them about potential dangers due to faulty security controls. They reach the terminal, where 110 interfaces with it to diagnose the issue. Genitriol explains that the system has been sabotaged. Just as 110 identifies the problem, the team is attacked by Erlicka militants and Hawkins is injured. Corsi's attempts to return fire fail due to an active security measure preventing energy weapon use. The lights come on, revealing 12 Irlika surrounding them, shouting threats and brandishing weapons. The situation escalates as the Irlika charge at the Starfleet team, creating a tense and dangerous confrontation. Ansid holds her breath as the Senbolma leaves Irlik's atmosphere. The ship, owned by the reluctant Emperor, is on a critical mission to the moon, hoping to resolve a crisis. Emperor, Ansid, and the crew marvel at the stunning views of Irlik from space. Ansid, mesmerized by the sight of her home planet, reflects on the urgency of their mission. Suddenly, they detect another ship in orbit around the moon, identified as the U.S.S. Da Vinci from Starfleet. Despite initial mistrust, Ansid communicates with Captain Gold, who explains they are responding to a distress call from Ganitriol, the central computer of Irlik. As they approach the moon, Emperor contacts the Da Vinci and learns that Starfleet engineers are already working on the problem. Just as Ansid begins to trust their assistance, Rager Undlar, a clergyman on board, stabs her, revealing a betrayal. As she collapses, bleeding and questioning his motives, Undlar coldly dismisses her with a cruel smile, leaving her to die in confusion and despair. Domenica Corsi and her team face an advancing group of Irlika. Corsi uses a photonic grenade to temporarily blind the attackers, allowing the team to escape. Despite their advantage, they find themselves unable to communicate with their ship, the Da Vinci, likely ambushed as they were. The team seeks refuge in a dim, abandoned area of the complex, where Corsi treats Hawkins' injury and the team plans their next move. Gomez, the team leader, consults with Genitriol, who reveals that the Da Vinci was attacked by a Pevni ship and is now undetectable. The only way to remove the invasive program from Genitriol and potentially save their ship is by accessing the central core, a kilometer away. Despite Corsi's concerns about their limited resources and the pursuing Irlika, Gomez insists on proceeding with the mission to help Irlik. Gomez modifies the phasers to work despite the scattering field, planning their route to the core. Corsi reluctantly agrees, recognizing Gomez's resolve to complete the mission. With Drew standing guard, 110 watching Hawkins, and Corsi mapping their route, the team prepares to move forward, hoping to overcome the odds and fix Genitriol. The Da Vinci is ambushed, while Captain Gold is speaking with a priest. Despite attempts to raise shields, the ship is struck by enemy fire, causing significant damage to tactical systems. The priest stabs the first speaker, adding to the chaos. Lieutenant McAllen struggles to target the enemy ship manually, as Ensign Wong attempts to evade further attacks. The shields fail, and LaForge rushes to help repair the damage. The crew narrowly escapes by setting a course for a nearby planet, using torpedoes as cover fire. Gold orders a briefing, perplexed by the sudden betrayal and the mission's rapid deterioration. Undlar, furious over losing the Starfleet ship, confronts his crew while relishing his previous killings, including that of the first speaker, to further his revolutionary plans. Emerur, the ship owner, is shocked and demands Undlar remove the body, threatening their tenuous alliance. Meanwhile, Hagi reports that the Starfleet team on the surface is wounded, but still resisting. The ship cannot land due to damage, leaving Undlar to plan further attacks despite the obstacles. Undlar reluctantly removes the body, maintaining his focus on their mission to destabilize Genitriol. Hagi and Yanasa are searching a cavern for enemies, relying on their instincts and blades instead of technology. They encounter a force field trapping them and argue about their predicament. As they discuss their situation, a Starfleet team led by a tall, human woman, Corsi, ambushes them. Corsi demonstrates the superiority of their technology by lowering the force field and incapacitating Hagi and Yanasa with her weapon. Despite Hagi's confidence that their remaining team will prevail, Corsi prepares to finish him off, smiling as she aims her weapon at his chest. Sonia and her team are dealing with unconscious Irlica and lack resources to restrain them. Corsi's tricorder alerts her to an unexpected force field trapping her in a section of the ship. Despite Drew's protests, Sonia decides they must continue their mission without trying to free Corsi, emphasizing the importance of reaching the core. As they proceed, Hawkins, though injured, and 110 accompany Sonia, navigating through corridors and a service ladder. A bulkhead suddenly closes, separating Drew from the rest of the team. Genitriol, the ship's computer, informs them that Drew has enough air for several hours and that an Irlica patrol is also trapped. Sonia reassures Drew and continues towards the core, receiving more helpful updates from Genitriol about the scattering field that affects Irlica blasters. Hawkins advises keeping the field on to maintain their tactical advantage. As they move towards their goal, Genitriol regains control of a security measure and offers to deactivate the scattering field. Hawkins suggests adjusting it to only affect Irlica weapons, and Sonia agrees, instructing Genitriol to attempt the modification. With Hawkins regaining strength and providing strategic insights, the team pushes forward, hoping to complete their mission while ensuring they can eventually rescue their separated comrades. 110 regrets agreeing to join the mission and wishes he had stayed in his quarters. He stumbles through a corridor, feeling lost without his partner, 111, as they are pursued by people trying to kill him. His confidence in his abilities falters without 111's support. When they encounter a force field holding back a gas, Genitriol informs them of a manual override. 110 works to access it, but as the force fields drop, the gas begins to spread, and he struggles against unconsciousness while entering the necessary codes to save the day. Captain Gold leads a tense briefing aboard the Da Vinci, surrounded by his key officers. LaForge, Duffy, Abramowitz, Falwell, Lenz, Stevens, and Blue. The ship's shields are back online, but unreliable, and an unknown weapon has compromised their defenses. With the Sugihara delayed due to a rescue mission, the crew must find a solution on their own. Falwell proposes a plan to hack into the Senbolma's rudimentary computer system, which lacks sophisticated cryptography, allowing them to potentially control the enemy ship. Despite the risks and the need for perfect timing, Gold decides to proceed with the plan, urging his crew to be ready for action. As the meeting concludes, Gold stops Dr. Lenz, who expresses her hope to avoid combat medicine, reminding her that they will do their best to keep everyone safe. The crew disperses to prepare for the mission, knowing the success of Falwell's hacking program and the ship's resilience are crucial to their survival. Domenica Corsi, armed with a phaser rifle, watches an Irlica woman stir. Warning her not to make sudden movements, Corsi reveals that Starfleet's equipment is superior. The woman, identifying herself as Yanasa, admits the Irlica intended to disrupt Genitriol, but now find themselves trapped. As they converse, Yanasa acknowledges their poor tactics, including the limited communication units and underestimating Genitriol's capabilities. A transmission from Yanasa's comrade is intercepted, but no useful information is gleaned before it cuts off. When Genitriol confirms that Starfleet weapons are fully operational again, Corsi adjusts her rifle and engages in further conversation, uncovering more about the Irlica's misguided plans. As the force fields drop, Corsi swiftly stuns Yanasa and her still unconscious comrade, Hagi. Attempting to contact her team, Corsi finds no response, leaving her momentarily isolated. 110 fights through a haze clouding his vision to activate the manual override on the ventilation system in a cavern. Struggling with his fingers, he wishes 111 were there to help, but she is dead. He hears voices, including Lieutenant Commander Corsi's, and feels a strong urge to lie down, but knows he must stay awake to save Gomez and Hawkins from the gas. After entering the command, his vision clears, and Gomez praises his work. Though modest, 110 accepts her acknowledgement as she explains they need his expertise to perform the override. Corsi contacts Gomez, who confirms they are okay despite the gas. 110 uses Hawkins' medical tricorder to check their conditions, finding minor damage to their esophageal passages. Corsi informs them that she has secured their location and will meet them at the core after freeing another team member. With their coughs subsiding, Gomez, Hawkins, and 110 prepare to move towards their objective, 50 meters away and down another ladder. Undler disposes of First Speaker Ansid's body, a task forced upon him by Emmereur, which he vows to avenge one day. On the flight deck, he orders Emmereur to contact the surface for an update on Hagi, but there's no response. The pilot reports faint life signs and difficulty in tracking people deep in the infrastructure of Genitriol. Suddenly, the pilot detects the return of the Da Vinci, previously in orbit around another planet. Despite their initial success in damaging the Da Vinci's shields and systems, they lose control of their ship's systems. The captain of the Da Vinci appears on their view screen, demanding their surrender. Undlar refuses to surrender, claiming righteousness and the cause of a revolution for Irlik's greatness. Despite the Da Vinci taking over their ship's systems, Undlar remains defiant, asserting that the situation is a stalemate, since the Da Vinci's transporters, weapons, and shields are down. He declares he will never surrender, believing his cause justifies their actions, including cold-blooded murder. The confrontation highlights the tension and desperation of Undlar's revolutionary mission. Captain Gold, facing a tense standoff, orders the screen off to avoid seeing Undlar's smug face and contacts engineering for updates. LaForge reports that the shields might be reconstituted, but weapon repairs will take at least 4 hours. Gold instructs him to proceed and learns from Commander Corsi that Gomez, Hawkins, and 110 are attempting to fix the computer core while Drew is trapped. The security system's intermittent functionality has caused separations, but Genitriol is assisting. Gold stresses the urgency of their mission as the stalemate with the Irlika ship continues, but he cannot send reinforcements due to the downed transporter. Gold explores alternative strategies, considering a shuttle boarding, but McCallan deems it too risky. Stevens confirms they have control over the enemy's computer system with secure passwords and discusses possible actions like cutting off oxygen, though Gold dismisses killing as a last resort. They are left waiting, a situation Gold despises, recalling his wife Rachel's warning about his impatience potentially leading to his demise. He hopes she is wrong as they brace for the next move. Sonia Gomez, struggling with a painful cough, walks with 110 and Hawkins towards the core. Despite her discomfort, she receives reassuring news from Corsi that the Da Vinci is safe, though communication is limited due to their depth. They make their way in silence until Genitriol informs them that the scattering field is down, making all weapons functional in the caverns. Approaching a massive bulkhead, 110 prepares to open it just as Hawkins detects an approaching patrol. As the bulkhead slowly opens, blaster fire narrowly misses Sonia. She runs for the opening but is hit in the leg, collapsing in pain. She manages to crawl inside the core while 110 follows, but Hawkins remains outside, providing cover fire. The door starts to close, and despite Sonia's plea, 110 cannot stop it due to its strict cycle, leaving Hawkins outside as the door slams shut. Vance Hawkins lies on a cold stone cave floor, wounded and separated from his team, facing gunfire from 2 assailants hiding behind walls. Using a phaser rifle designed for 2 hands with only his good arm, he provides continuous cover fire, preventing his attackers from aiming properly. Just as a shot narrowly misses his left arm, Hawkins hears a sound and sees Lieutenant Commander Corsi arrive, taking down 1 assailant and disarming the other. She captures the remaining attacker, Utaka, and forces him to comply as she reunites with Hawkins and the rest of the team. Inside the core, Hawkins tends to Commander Gomez's leg wound, while 110 changes the door code to ensure their safety. As 8 more enemies approach, Corsi instructs Drew to proceed cautiously to the core. With the bulkheads raised and security protocols offline, the team faces the challenge of defending their position. Corsi urges 110 to work on the core to end the threat as they prepare for the impending attack, hoping the door will hold their enemies at bay. Sonia Gomez stands before the Binar 110, who is visibly distressed and hesitant, struggling without his partner 111. Sonia tries to motivate him despite his fears and doubts, reminding him of his expertise with computers and encouraging him to make an effort. With fear still evident in his eyes, 110 finally agrees to try and approaches the interface, beginning to communicate with it through a rapid stream of binary code. As he works, Sonia observes his frustration and slower pace compared to when he worked with 111. As 110 continues his task, the team hears a loud thud at the door, indicating the remaining Irlica are trying to break in. Sonia orders her team to protect 110 at all costs. Smoke starts to seep through the door, and the sound of Irlica blasters becomes audible. The tension rises as they brace for the impending breach, hoping 110 can complete his task in time. 110 feels at home in the simplicity of binary code until a glitch occurs due to a minor mistake. Navigating the complex Gonitrial system, enhanced over millennia by the Irlica, he acknowledges its sophistication. Discovering an invasive program causing random mathematical errors without shutting down the system, 110 knows he must not only eliminate it, but also reverse all changes it made. Although difficult without his partner 111, 110 meticulously fixes the altered equations and deletes the program. Just as he finishes, an Irlica attacks, but Gonitrial's security protocols neutralize the threat. Commander Gomez commends 110 for restoring the system, and Gonitrial confirms full operational control. Communication with the Da Vinci reveals a standoff, prompting Corsi to request permission to board the Senbolma. Gomez grants it, ensuring their mission continues successfully. Sonia Gomez is impressed by how quickly Corsi, Hawkins, and Drew managed to subdue Unlar and his accomplices, securing the Senbolma. The first enforcement ship arrives, taking the captives into custody as planetary weather and food distribution stabilize. Dr. Lenz treats Sonia and Hawkins for gas effects and wounds, while the Sugihara arrives to aid with ongoing relief efforts, allowing the Da Vinci to resume its course to Starbase 505. In the mess hall, Sonia discusses the situation with Carol Abramowitz and Bart Falwell. Despite the recent turmoil and uncertain future for the planet's governance and spiritual foundation, Sonia is focused on moving forward to their next mission. 110 lies on the bed in his quarters, reflecting on recent events. He has received accolades from Captain Gold, Commander Gomez, and Beral, the new first speaker of Irlik, for his significant contributions. Now, the Da Vinci is heading back to Starbase 505, from where 110 is supposed to take a transport to Binaus. Staring at the view screen showing the stars at warp, he ponders his future. 110 finds himself at a crossroads. Returning to Binaus means rebonding, while staying away would make him an outcast. Both choices are equally unappealing, as he cannot imagine life without 111, despite proving he can function independently by fixing Gonitrial and saving Irlik. He lies back down, contemplating the ceiling, finding no answers in the stars. Today's story concludes here. This tale was based on the second book of the Starfleet Corps of Engineers series, titled Fatal Error, written by Keith R.A. DeCandido. There is an affiliate link in the description to buy a copy of this book. If you like this tale, you can help us out by hitting the like and subscribe buttons. If you want to help us out more directly, you could buy our app Count Currency, made for iPhone, available on the App Store. Count Currency needs no internet connection to work and takes less space on your device than a photo. Count Currency is published by Finespun Software and is available on the App Store. Check back for new tales weekly. This narration was made with tools from OpenAI. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.